Welcome to the Fill the Gap podcast, where we dive into the spaces between the known and the unknown, exploring a vast array of topics from the everyday to the extraordinary. Join us as we embark on a journey of discovery, bridging the gaps in our knowledge and understanding, one episode at a time. Whether you're a curious mind or an avid learner, this is the place to fill the gaps in your mental library. So tune in, get comfortable, and let's uncover the mysteries that lie just beyond our reach. This is Fill the Gap, where curiosity meets insight.
This is your host, Mike Ford, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. with another conspiracy theory in court and out of court conspiracy on Fill the Gap podcast. Here we go.
Law and order right hates court procedures when applied to them. Courts are the last remaining guardrail that has a standard of evidentiary presentation. It is the last place where you have to prove what you say, and you see the difference in what they say out of court versus what they say in court. Here is Trump on the 2020 election out of court.
This is a fraud.
We know there was massive fraud. It was a rigged election, 100%.
Here are his lawyers in court.
This is not a fraud case. We are not alleging fraud in this lawsuit.
Here is Rudy Giuliani pleading before the Court of Seasonal Landscapers. He's pleading, but not in the actual court.
It's a fraud, an absolute fraud.
And what does Giuliani say about that in court?
Yes, but this is not a fraud case.
It's not a fraud case in court, where I would need evidence. It's only a fraud case out there amongst the sod and the mulch, where I can say whatever I want. Fox News says that Dominion voting machines rigged the election for Biden out of court.
They were flipping votes in the computer system or adding votes that did not exist. The whole situation was carefully calculated and created to steal the election from President Trump.
Did you notice as the fraud trial went on, Sidney Powell turned into Michael Jackson? Is that? Probably ended that segment with, woohoo! But that's where you can say out of court. But in court, Fox was forced to pay $787 million for false statements. The difference between in court and out of court is that in court, someone can say, prove it. And the problem is that most of the time in this country, our political leaders are not in court. They are here on TV, where the news media has decided that there's really no such thing as reality.
We now live in two utterly different universes.
These two Americas are living in two different realities.
Well, we're living in two different realities.
No. You're thinking of the multiverse. We are all living in one reality. And it can be the news media's job to litigate the parameters of said reality. What the courts do really well is look backwards and reconstruct the realities of what happened. The news media could do the same, but what they do instead is look forward and wildly speculate on the future.
If Donald Trump is the nominee and if he is convicted of a crime, could you support him?
He could be convicted before November. Would you still support him then?
Will you commit to certifying the 2024 election results no matter who wins?
Will you accept the election results of 2024 no matter what happens, Senator?
No matter what, Senator. Voting irregularities, ant overlords, voting machines that suddenly transform into fighting robots, voting booth powers activate. Will you still certify? Who cares? No one knows what the future holds. Ask this person what it was about the 2020 election that they found objectionable, and then litigate the realities of their objections to them, in front of them. So when they say to you, I never said lock her up, you can say, I object. Do that. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? And you know what? Here's the deal. You really want to ask speculative questions that nobody can answer? Well, just create a show just for that. We'll tighten it down to a half hour and call it No One knows. And you can put all the polls and the horse race questions in there. And then with the other 23 and a half hours in the day, the other 7 days a week, you can present the evidence for our shared experience. Because court should be the option of last resort for our defined reality, not the only option for our defined reality. So listen up, media. We'll give you a little gavel. You can study all the evidence, no matter how tedious, and reach a conclusion. And then you can present those conclusions, and the audience, us, will be the ones doing like jury duty, willingly, without penalty of law, or without trying to come up with any excuse to avoid having to do jury duty. I think I'm seeing the flaw in my argument. Either way, it's better than what we have now.
All right. There you have it. In court, out of court conspiracy. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Love,
90%
peace,
of people
joy, and happiness. Have a great one.